What's going on, UFC fans? This is the watch list for UFC 203. Jon Anik alongside the best talent relations team in mixed martial arts history. Joe Silva and Shelby are here. UFC 203, UFC's first trip to the Q in Cleveland, Ohio, and really just the perfect storm here. Stipe Miocic, the local, getting the hometown showcase in his first title defense against Alistair Overeem.
Yeah, this should be a hell of a fight. Stipe looked incredibly impressive, knocking out Fabricio Verdum.
Oh, that's it! It's all over! Stipe Miocic is the new UFC heavyweight champion!
He's extremely athletic. He's got wrestling, he's got good striking, but facing Alistair Overeem for anybody is an incredibly difficult task because he hits so hard.
Oh my goodness! It is all over! Alistair Overeem by TKO!
He could catch you and get you out of there, but what you have to do if you're Stipe is be very technical and outlast him, because as the fight goes longer, that's where Overeem starts to have more trouble.
And Stipe Miocic, not necessarily an emotional fighter, so you think he'll be okay making that walk in Cleveland, what inevitably will be an emotional moment for him. And I think a lot of people are surprised that Alistair Overeem took 5 years in the UFC to realize a title shot, but put himself in position, and obviously he gets that opportunity here.
Well, as we've seen this past year, that's what makes MMA such a great sport, is you can have a spectacular win and then everybody's on the bandwagon, but then somebody else who's maybe not as heralded, they come and they beat you, but then you get back on it. It's anybody who really thinks they know what's going to happen is deluding themselves.
Right.
I've done this for 21 years. I don't know, and that's why I'm so excited and spazzing out at cage side every time, is that I don't know, and I'm excited to find out.
No doubt about it. And you guys have put together so many pick'em fights this year, and kudos to you. So many close fights on paper, and among them also on the main card of UFC 203 in the strawweight division, which obviously has a lot of momentum right now. Jojo Calderwood, after a brief fight there at 125, taking on Jessica Andrade, who just looked like a world beater in her strawweight debut.
Yeah, Jessica's a fighter that, she was in the bantamweight class. She did very well for herself, really established their top 10 fighter in the world, but, the knock on her was that her height was really limiting her in that division. So she drops all the way down 2 weight classes to strawweight and had an amazing debut in that division.
Trying to finish it right here, right now.
Just stop the fight.
It is all over! Jessica Andrade!
She has one of the highest outputs offensively of any fighter in the UFC. And, I thought that she was going to make an immediate impact, and we'll see. And, strawweight is still a really young division, and she's an amazing addition. The matchup I love because it's 2 talented strikers. And on top of that, there are serious title implications for this fight, The winner of this is on the doorstep to a title shot.
And I think both of those fighters, Calderwood and Andrade, would stylistically be fun matchups against the champion Miocic. So co-main event at UFC 203, Joe, also in the heavyweight division, was to be Ben Rothwell against the former champion Fabricio Verdum. Rothwell out, Travis Browne back in. So this is a rematch of what was a headlining fight once before. Travis Browne was the favorite the first time they met. Doesn't figure to be this time around against Verdum.
But Travis Browne begged for this fight.
Really?
When he heard that there was the dropout, and it was not a ton of notice.
Right.
So he figured, well, if he's going to ever want the chance to get that back, he'll probably want a full camp and be prepared, and they called me up. And it's like, he really, really wants this fight. So he's in a good place mentally. He's really fired up, and he knows a win over the former champ puts him right back up there where he wants to be. And for Fabricio Verdum, he was a guy on top of the world. And you look at his skill set and the way he was performing, and is another one of those times where people are going, this guy might go years without losing that belt, and then boom, and he wants that back. He so badly wants to wear that belt again. So I think in this matchup we're going to see the very best Travis Browne and the very best Fabricio Verdum. Both of these guys want redemption, and I think it'll be an excellent fight.
You sort of mentioned Fabricio Werdum. When he's on, he looks pretty unbeatable. And I would say the same thing about Ray Borg, who on this night will fight Ian McCall. McCall, of course, was supposed to fight Justin Scoggins, but Scoggins was unable to make weight. And McCall getting another big name here, and just a furious 15-minute fighter in Ray Borg.
Ray Borg was one of those, even though he only had 5 or 6 fights coming into the UFC, you could really see. I mean, his ground game is so amazing. His ability to take down is so amazing, and he's just all offense all the time. And on Ian's side, you know, this fight came together really because the fighter didn't make weight, and understandably, Ian is not going to face a guy who's 7 pounds heavier than him.
Sure.
And that'd be the second time in a row. I understand his trepidation and supported him all the way through this. And it's tough, right? So what we do is normally Joe and I, we have fights booked 4 months out.
Yeah.
So if you miss your spot, so to speak, you have to go to the back of the line and wait an extra 4 months. Also, there's only so much card space. It's not like we can just keep adding fights to a card until we get 15, 16 fights. We're pretty much cut off at 13. So he had already been out for so long, it just so happened that an entire fight dropped out, and I could move him in there. And thankfully, this is a great fight. It's a great matchup. Ends up being good against 2 contenders, and so, you know, it worked out for once.
And you certainly supported Ian McCall the last time out, giving him his win and show money, despite the fact that he was unable to make the walk. I have a lot of white hair now. I don't think I had any when you signed CM Punk. It was a long time ago. He will make his UFC debut at long last, and no cupcake here in Mickey Gall, who looked really dominant in his UFC debut a few months back.
Yeah, I mean, for how this fight was originally going to happen, it was kind of more even in that Mickey Gall had MMA experience, very little, but still had it, but no UFC experience. So, and you know, even very experienced guys, your first UFC can be hard. You get that UFC jitters. So they were at least going to be even coming to that. Neither had any UFC experience. But then it took longer to get CM Punk ready to fight. And so Gall fought in the UFC. So now that he has UFC experience and Punk does not, that's even more pressure on CM Punk. But it is a fascinating story. I think there's so many people who were athletes. Maybe you're a really good football player in high school or whatever, and you think you're a fan of the sport and you watch it and you're like, you know, I bet if I just had the right training and I had the ability.
6 months of sprawl training.
Exactly. I could have done this. You know, that's, you know, so many people think that. Well, CM Punk is a guy who's gotten that opportunity.
Right.
He's gone out and trained with one of the best camps out there in Rufus Sport, and they say he's an extremely hard worker and very dedicated guy, so he's taken all the right steps to be prepared as much as he can. Yeah. Will it be enough? It'll be fascinating to see, because yeah, Mickey Gall is no pushover. The kid's got talent.
The big question, though, is the evolution, I think, of CM Punk. I mean, you're a lifelong martial artist, a lifelong striker. You have an octagon in your basement, right? How quickly can he develop his striking when, you know, he really didn't come in with a whole lot of reps when he started his training?
There's no way to know unless you're the trainers and see it, because there's some people, you know, back in the day, if you would have asked me the question, could you take somebody who's a super talented athlete and very dedicated but no wrestling background and make them the best wrestler in MMA, I would have told you confidently, absolutely not. But George St. Pierre did it. You never know. So some people can pick things up incredibly fast. And in this fight, a lot of questions will be answered.
We'll find out on pay-per-view September 10th at UFC 203. One final fight I want to get to with you. Betch Kohei, a former world title challenger, taking on Jessica Eye, the Ohio native. Nice gesture by you to put Jessica Eye on this card. It's a big spot for her. She needs a W.
She does. They both need to get back on track. Yeah. But we could not go to Cleveland and not have Jessica Eye on the card. And it's just a fun, scrappy fight. Stylistically, it's just a fun fight.
All right, UFC 203 coming up September 10th. It is the next pay-per-view for the MMA leader. With that, for Joe Silva and Sean Shelby, I'm Jon Anik. As always, thank you for watching The Watchlist.